Asia and I have a lot of history together. And when people talk about the history of their relationships, they tend to kind of smooth over like the rough patches. And I'm guilty of that. Uh, we're in the middle of our seventh year together. And when I say together, we're really ruling out the parts where things weren't necessarily smooth sailing. See, I met her at the end of '08. We spent November, December of '08, and then most of 2009 together. But around the end of 2009, but I think we didn't even hit a year. We had went our separate ways for whatever reasons. And if you go and watch the story of us, it's on here somewhere. Go look for it. Then you know what some of those pitfalls and hurdles were. And from there, I spent the better part of 3 years. I don't want to say waiting because there was not a lot of waiting involved. I mean, we spent time together, we hung out together. You know, it wasn't just me sitting around twiddling my thumbs and she'd forgotten about me. We were still who we were. But when I say waiting, she was a little confused as to what she wanted to do. Strike that from the record. She wasn't confused. She was torn between what she wanted and wanting to be able to make her mother happy. So when she finally let go of the notion that her mother was going to be upset with her, and she realized that regardless to whatever decision she made, her mother would either have to support her or get out of the way, we ended up getting back together. But it took us a long time to do that. A couple of strings of boyfriends that she was dealing with. I had some medical issues that I was dealing with, and in 2013 we got married, and it's been smooth sailing ever since. But when I talk about my history with Asia, nobody says, well, it's been 7 years, but that first year was a little rocky, and then for the next 3 years it was up and down, and now, no, nobody does that. When you discuss your relationship, you start from the date you met to now, and it's been 7.5 years. It'll be 8 years in November. And there are a lot of people. No, it's not. I take that back. I was trying to be polite. There's one person who would have issue with that. There's one person who would take exception to the fact that when we discuss our relationship, we say it's been 7.5 years. We say it's been closer to 8 years. When we talk about it, we start from November 14th, 2008. And that person needs to get over it. Because I'm not going to differentiate, I guess is the word. I'm not going to say this part of my relationship was good, this part of my relationship wasn't the best, this part of my relationship was great. Let's just count the good parts. It's like any relationship is going to have its ups and its downs. And for us, we consider those years just to be the down portions. And that's really it. I've always hid behind the moniker of get on board or get out of the way. And now that most people have gotten out of the way, I find that things are much simpler for us. But it's left this emotional hole in my wife. And that gets me down a little bit. But it's through no fault of our own. It's not as if we chased people away. They can't see past the history of it all. They can't wrap their minds around the concept of, okay, the history was a little bit shaky, but it was the foundation for the single most successful marriage I have ever seen. And I know that's tooting my own horn, and it's like, oh, it's easy for you to say that when you're in the middle of it, but I spent more of my life not married than married, and I've seen many couples who were happy and many couples who were not. I watched my parents, get divorced and get married, and then I watched them marry separate people and get divorced, and then I watched them marry other people. And I can honestly say my marriage is the most successful marriage I have ever seen. There's no bickering, no complaining. We are a well-oiled machine. We are a unit. And yeah, there are some financial troubles, but it has nothing to do with our marriage. So for the people who can't see past the history of us and can't say, hey, look, you see where they started, but look where they are. If they can't appreciate that, then there's no room in my life for them in the first place.